and we literally see hundreds of people with housing crises, and many times we just do not have the resources and the adequate resources to be able to assist people. And the other thing I just want to address from a RUPCO standpoint before I go to my other standpoint, what I'm supposed to talk about is RUPCO is very aggressive in trying to secure funding in any way possible. And we have really recognized the need for a housing navigator. We've known that for a long time. And we're still looking for that funding source that will give us that resource, because we do know that that is critical in matching people up with the appropriate housing. And at any given time, we have 50 people out looking for apartments for Section 8 vouchers. They have the voucher, they cannot find a unit. So it really is a crisis situation that we're facing. That being said, I represent the continuum of care. It's my job to make sure that we bring in $1.2 million of HUD funding every year. And we do year-round activities to receive that funding. One of the most important activities we do is an annual point-in-time count. Just like Michael said, HUD has pretty quirky rules. So HUD requires us to do this homeless count the last 10 days of January. So on January 29th, and where is my friend Lisa? Because it would not have happened if it wasn't for Lisa. And Liza, we pulled off a point-in-time count where we held an event at the Hodge Center. Rise Up Kingston brought the community out to the Hodge Center. We had 4 canvassing teams. The mayor and the chief were out looking in the city of Kingston. And we had teams canvassing in the town of Ulster, New Paltz, and Ellenville. Believe it or not, that was the day that we were supposed to get 1 to 3 inches of snow, and we ended up getting over 10 inches of snow. That being said, Lisa got people to the Hodge Center. We don't know how anybody got home. I think people were pushing the cars out at the end of the night. And the teams actually went out and canvassed. 2 of the teams went out in the 10 inches of snow, and the other 2 went out the next day when the temperatures were hovering in the teens. They found 42 people. That is pretty amazing, that in those kinds of conditions, that those folks were visible. And if there were 42 people visible, how many people were out there that we did not see, that we cannot catch, that we can't locate, that we can't reach, some of which probably don't want necessarily to be contacted or reached, which is fine, but it just goes to show it's like really harsh. So in this year's count, we had 246 households and 432 people that were living in emergency shelters, motels, or places not meant for human habitation. And this is actually a reduction of 32 people from last year. Our number was higher last year. And we had been, the Continuum of Care has been doing this count for over 15 years. And over the last 4 years, we've seen a tremendous increase in the percentage of homeless families that are in shelters. This is the first year that we actually saw a reduction in the number of homeless sheltered families. We did see an increase in the number of homeless sheltered individuals. And I have to couch this by saying that HUD's definition of homeless is very narrow. It's if you're living in an emergency shelter, motel, hotel placed by DSS, or living in a place not meant for human habitation. It's not people that are doubled up. It's not people that are staying with friends. And we all know when there's 10 inches of snow, most people have a couch and find a couch to sleep on. So that being said, let's see, what else do I want to say? Okay, so the other thing we do is we look at the amount of time people remain homeless, and what we try to do is year after year we try to decrease that number. So in 2017, the average length of time homelessness in Ulster County was 84 nights. 25% of the population returned to homelessness within 2 years. To me, just as an observation, doing this work for a long time, that says to me that about a quarter of the homeless population requires other supports other than just housing, a rent, a place to live, in order to be able to be stably housed. But that 75%, if they had the resources, if they could find the units, and with a little bit of support, could be stably housed. And like I said before, there's a tremendous shortage of apartments. So 4 years ago, we had a program called the Solutions to End Homelessness Program. It provided prevention money, so we paid back rent, we paid security deposits, and then we did short-term rental assistance. So for families and individuals coming out of the shelters, re-entering into the community, it gave them a 6-month safety net with a little bit of case management, not a lot, but like a monthly touch to make sure people are doing okay. That program, we were able to serve 100 to 120 households a year with $400,000 from the state, and the average investment to keep people housed and out of homelessness was about $1,600. To rehouse somebody, the average was only $2,500. We lost that resource in 2014. We have not been able to replace that resource. The state just put out the RFP. I am the grant writer, and I can guarantee you Ulster County will find a way to get that resource returned back, because I just think yes, well, we did it. We were, it's very competitive. So they had $14 million and they received $42 million in applications. So again, it shows that the need way outweighs the resources that are out there. And then I think the only other thing I wanted to say was definitely the number one reason for homelessness is eviction. I guess it's a no-brainer. And that, I don't have my glasses on, so it's hard to see. Okay, and then there are, okay, like Michael alluded before, we have 138 permanent supportive housing units that are paid for by HUD. At any given year, we have about 20 vacancies. So this is permanent supportive housing, so very few units come up. And out of those 20 units, the biggest challenge is finding a unit to put somebody in. And Michael talked about the coordinated entry. He is absolutely right. It is an unfunded HUD mandate. I do understand why. HUD is looking to help the most vulnerable, but there's no funding to be able to coordinate that effort and really be able to find not just the most vulnerable, but be able to address the resources needed for all the other populations. The people that just need that little push, that temporary assistance. And many of you know that our Section 8 wait list was just recently opened. We opened it for 45 days, had 2,000 applications. So we know the need is great, and we know that there's not enough units. And the Continuum of Care membership is open to the public. And I would like to, maybe I'll do it through Lisa, if I can get information out on our continuum of care, if anybody wants to become a member.
Could you explain what continuum of care is?
Sure, I'm sorry, I thought Mike was a little bit more. Okay, so Continuum of Care is a coalition of homeless providers, nonprofits, local government agencies, and community-based organizations, community members, and faith-based organizations. And what we do is we get together, we look at the resources that we have to support homeless housing and services, and we try to find a way to work together to make the most out of the limited resources that we have. We are prioritizing chronically homeless, which is people that have had long or repeated episodes of homelessness, families, and youth as our 3 priority populations. And we do these activities, we hold membership meetings, we look at the performance of our system to see if our numbers are decreasing, increasing, and then we try to look at why they're increasing, why they're decreasing. I think the reason why the numbers increased for those 3 years was because we lost that STEP resource, and we literally had 100 households that there was no assistance for. And we have built rapid rehousing back into our continuum housing availability. So I think that that's also says why we maybe saw a little drop in the number of homeless families.
Any questions?
Okay.
All right, great. Thank you, Kat.
You're welcome.
Thank you.